was a good deal of criticism by some members of the council about the amount per person that you would serve. It was a big number. Yes.
Can you give us some cost figures and kind of put some ballpark idea for the future?
We're going to talk about that. Keep saying 11 o'clock, but generally, for a middle mile network, you're looking at about $30,000 a mile. Okay, and that's your core backbone. To come off of that route into a residence or a house or a business, it's about your distance from that network to your location. It can vary. If you've got to go underground or replace poles, but generally, unless you're being constructed, about $30,000 a mile.
It's a little higher than in surrounding states, but they're flat, more mountainous. I mean, we have some challenges here that tend to increase the cost. John, I think you probably followed it over the B-top. Is that about right? About 30,000 per mile in West Virginia is about what it's averaged out.
Some areas actually went up almost 50,000, but that's a pretty good average.
Yeah. Yeah, some are real high, and this would be one of the areas I'm afraid that might be real high because it is so mountainous and so distant from place to place. But I don't have the Pocahontas County figures in my head, John. You may not either.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Any other on the snowshoes project? Again, we're here today as a collective group. We're going to talk about broadband, but anything particular on snowshoe. If not, so we can.
Mr. Chairman, this is Dana. I have a couple of questions on the project, if I may.
Sure, Dana. Go ahead.
Jim, the use of the EMS tower, I know this is a pilot project. What are the consequences if an emergency event would occur and the state would need to utilize that? Is that part of the pilot project that you're doing is to determine the impact?
The relationship we have set up today is it's a testing arrangement in that no mission critical services are to be run across it. It is understood to be a best effort. And so right now, we're absolutely just in a testing phase. We're trying to figure out the type of quality that the network would have so that other providers might be able to use it. But the state has taken a position, which is reasonable, that they get first access to it. That any other provider, any other user that might come on, the state gets priority number one. And so for us, all we're doing is testing. There's no one's utilizing the network that's paying for the service. It's just in the testing phase, and our goal is by the end of the year for us to provide some recommendations to the state of how they might want to offer that service to both providers and the private businesses. But I hope that answers the question.
And the second question is, the work that you're doing, either contracting or your own workforce, are you paying state prevailing wage rates?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, if you want to move on to the next agenda item.
Okay. The next agenda item that I had asked to put on there was titled Discussion Allocation of Remaining Broadband Council Funding. For those who followed the papers, this council was scheduled to sunset this December. I guess we're created and enabled by the legislature or something to that effect. And so it'll be up to the legislature whether they want to keep this council around post-December. So one thing that I recognize is this council has probably about $600,000 or $800,000 of money sitting in its coffer, and we don't have enough time to do another grant round. So I wanted to put on the agenda today to have some discussion with the council about what we may do with that money, as well as I've got a recommendation and a motion I'd like for how we might be able to use that money before the end of the year to try to get the best bang for our buck out of it.
Maybe you should make your motion, and if it's seconded, then we can have discussion.
So here's what my motion is. Over here on the right is a map of the B-top fiber in red, and then what's in blue is basically what my motion is for the Broadband Council to make available any remaining monies to WVNet, which is a state-run agency that builds network, to solicit competitive bids to build an open access middle mile network to complete the BTOP fiber network is built on Pocahontas County to have a minimum of 96 strands of fiber. And then the routes will be Snowshoe to Cass, Valley Head to Mill Creek, and Durbin to Green Bank. And I'm not unrealistic thinking that it could all be built, but it's a mechanism which we could use the remaining money and hopefully connect those rings and enable broadband expansion in the area.
Since I'm the director of WVNet and we're in there under that ethics rule, I think I need to step out and not be part of the discussion. So I'm going to ask Sterling if you wouldn't mind to chair the meeting in my absence.
We need a second.
But I don't think I can even solicit a second under that ethics ruling. I think Sterling needs to do that. And then come get me if you don't get a second. Thank you. I'll be right back if you don't get a second. If he does, Ruthie, come get me.
I will use myself.
Yes, Tony?
Just as a comment, I was going to make a financial report before council takes a vote. They should know that currently we have, well, the council has $2,995,850.14 in cash in hand with treasury. There's $2,305,752.18 committed to grants, which leaves the council with $697.96. So 690. Of that, you also have to consider fees that are still owed to Kimball Services and so on.
The members on the phone get that figure.
Difficult to hear. I didn't hear it.
Can you come up, Tony?
Yes, sir.
He's going to repeat it.
Okay, $2,995,850.40. That's the cash in hand of the treasurer. $2,305,752.18 committed to grants, and $690,097.96. That would be the amount left. $690,000.
All right, so we have $690,000 and some odd dollars remaining in the budget. So I guess now we're seeking a motion to use these funds for the project of linking the middle mile project in the Randolph-Pocahontas County areas. Is that correct?
Right. So there's a motion.
We're going to have discussion with the motion or after.
We'll have discussion after a second. So I believe we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion. It's not valid.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, let me ask a couple of questions. So, what the outcome would be is to build fiber where existing fiber already is in place. Is that correct?
I believe the answer to that question is it appears as if the objective of the project would be to link the existing middle mile open access sections in the Pocahontas, Randolph County areas. Jim, is that correct?
Yeah.
But there is existing fiber there, correct?
I do not know. I don't have that knowledge.
Pretty important points to know before we would commit anything. The other thing is, okay, so we don't have enough time to go through a round. We turned away a number of providers and some organizations who wanted to do demand promotion in the past. What this will do is, in effect, taking an opportunity for them to use this remaining money for this proposal, which is obviously outside of the bounds of what we set up as a council in terms taxpayers' money to overbuild existing facilities is not appropriate, particularly in the state that is having budget issues. One alternative is to return that money to the state.
Dana, is that all the discussion points you have?
Yeah, this time, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, this is Elaine, Karen. I had a question. I wasn't hearing everything real good, but I was directing a question to Jim. Jim, heard pretty much what you did as far as the report for snowshoe. But the question I would ask is how, from your company, what commitment are you, what the grant was strictly for every acre referred to one amount. What is your company's commitment to the areas around off the mountain in the Pocahontas County area and even expanding over to Randolph County for residential customers?
I'll try to answer your question, Elaine, but I don't think it's relevant to the motion at hand. Our grant was a $700,000 50/50 match, so we're putting in about $700, the equivalent of what we draw down for the snowshoe general area. But I don't see how that's relevant to the motion at hand.
Yeah, I think we need to,
I would have asked it, I would have asked it earlier, but I was having difficulty hearing, and I'm trying to go on now streaming so that I may be able to hear better, or I would have asked you then.
okay. And I think relevant points for discussion at hand is, it appears that, and I'm asking a question as well, it appears that what we're asking to do is to allow WVNet to solicit bids from any interested party to come in and complete these sections and complete that middle mile infrastructure. Is that correct?
And I do believe it's within the realms of the statute that we can do this. If not, that the Attorney General will come back. If this were passed, the Attorney General would decide on this.
I suppose the question that I have for Andrea would be,
Back to my initial question and never gave you an answer. That middle one, that connectivity between Morgantown and the radio observatory is in place.
it appears that we're looking at, can you see the maps, Dana?
I'm on the phone.
Yeah, Dana, this isn't to build Morgantown. We're talking about Durban to Green Bank, past the Snowshoe and Valley Head to Mill Creek to complete the ring that Frontier started to build the VTOP on.
I'm going to have to rely on somebody there in the office that can see that map. But I guess my point that didn't get answered is there existing fiber there today?
The answer is yes.
Provided by anybody, is there existing fiber in those, between those locations today?
Yes.
Mark McKenzie from your company said yes. Is that public? Private?
Thank you.
That's private. Private.
Then why doesn't anybody know about it? And why can't anybody get access to it?
Unfortunately, we
Yeah.
can't take comment.
I got it.
We, and one question, Andrea, that we need to ask, with the recusal of 2 members present today, do we have a quorum that can vote?
We do not.
I think you do. I will amend the motion, if you allow.
Sure.
I make the same motion pending the Attorney General's approval that we follow in the guidelines and that we meet the requirements for a quorum. Because just because 2 abstain, I think it still comes down to vote for those members that are allowed to vote.
Okay, so the motion's been amended to say that we will act on the motion with the caveat that this is all pending Attorney General review and approval on whether or not a quorum exists, and the feasibility of approval of the project based on existing infrastructure. Is that correct?
Correct.
So we have a motion. Do we need a second on an amended motion?
Back, or back on there?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I'm in an airport, it's been a little bit difficult here. So the restated motion, did someone second it?
We were waiting a second.
Well, I would be happy to do that for the sake of discussing the new motion, this is that.
All right, any discussion on the new motion? Other than rehashing previous discussions? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say...
Excuse me, we have counsel on, with us, correct?
No.
We get an opinion?
No, we do not.
No.
She's just watching the stream online.
Okay.
So any motion that the action on this motion today will be pending council review.
Yes. She's just watching.
Yeah, let's take a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Excuse me, on the phone, do we have all those, any opposed? Same sign?
No. It's the lane,
So we might have to go one by one on the phone here. Did you get that, Andrea?
I've got Sterling, Jim, and Matt as yeses, Elaine and Dana as noes.
Are those correct, folks on the phone?
Correct.
All right, motion carries pending council review, and we'll revisit that at the next meeting. Grab our folks who are outside.
Excuse me, this is Dana, I'd like to make a motion to this.
All right. Dana, is this on the same project? We're bringing folks back in.
No, they can come back in because it would be a different topic.
Okay.
Same topic, nothing that they would have a issue with.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Just give us 1 second, and they're on their way back.
Thank you.
Can we get a summary of what happened while we were gone?
Can we, motion was approved to 3-2 to approve projects based pending council review for the presence of a quorum and on the legality of the project.
Thank you. All right.
And then Dana on the phone had a motion that he would like to bring forth to the council.
Dana, your motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion that the remaining funds be returned to the state payers, the taxpayers of the state, in terms of the state.
Is there a second to that motion? Going once, going twice.
To the state payers, the taxpayers of the state.
Okay. The motion dies for lack of a second. Anybody else have anything before we move on to our next agenda item, which is the state broadband plan report? We have a draft of that we've sent out to the listserv. Is it posted on the website?
No, sir, because it's still in draft format.
Okay, so
Excuse me, but this